Edition of the CantinaMX podcast, a very somber edition of the CantinaMX podcast, as I'm sure everybody who is listening and is participating knows, it's kind of a tough time for not just folks here in North America, but all over the world with the COVID-19 pandemic that is spreading like wildfire wherever it goes, and without any kind of vaccine or cure, it's very difficult to stop for some people. Mortality rates are unfortunately very, very high in some places, and are going to get higher in other places, and it's just a very, very trepidatious time for everybody. Hard to maintain any kind of levity, but we will try our best here on the CantinaMX podcast to help you guys out, give you guys maybe a couple of hours of escape so that we can discuss a variety of topics here in the CantinaMX podcast. One topic that we will be discussing is Liga MX and how they move forward, how they proceed with the postponement of their season. I will happily divulge my experience.
I'm not hearing stuff.
We're not hearing stuff.
Yeah, I can't hear John either.
We lost John.
I was like, he's gonna be really upset at Discord now because his icon is showing green, so he is showing audio.
Oh yeah, I can kind of hear his music.
Very.
Hello.
Okay,
it's Discord social distancing from us.
Sucks. Let me just continue saying that. It's not a good app for what we're trying to do. But.
They're practicing social distancing, John.
All right. So can you guys hear me now? Hello. Hola, ¿qué tal?
It took 30 seconds for the virus to get to Yon.
It is Discord.
So, do you guys hear me? Yes or no?
I could hear you.
There you go.
All right. Explain to me again why we use this platform. Anyway, as we were saying, here in the CantinaMX podcast, have a few things to discuss. We'll mainly focus on Liga MX's postponement and the fact that their president, Enrique Bonilla, tested positive for the virus while he was, and again, I just want to question someone's sanity as to why one would want to go to Spain at a time like this, but that's where he contracted the virus, brought it back to Mexico, and who knows how many people he's infected since he's been back. And so I'm sure he will definitely not be the last of the folks in Liga MX that test positive for this particular virus, as I'm sure many others across not just Mexico but in the U.S. as we move forward. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody listening, but I have been ordered to shelter in place here, I'm in Travis County in Austin until April 13th, which actually works very well for me because of the fact that with my NBA obligations and my MLS obligations have been temporarily put on hold, so I am temporarily unemployed. It's a great time to shelter in place when you're unemployed. So that's we'll be doing a lot of work around the house and whatever else we can to maintain our sanity here on the north shore of Lake Travis. But we will persevere and we'll move on, as I'm sure everybody else will, and we will get through this. But it's far be it from me to take up all the time yakking. So let's introduce our panel over in Hays County, which is south of Austin. Which have they ordered a shelter in place for Hays County yet, Chiquis? Because if they haven't, it's coming. Alberto Campa joins us.
I don't think so. I think we just got like in my city, we just got restrictions on gas stations and businesses and stuff like that. They shut down our park in my backyard. Can't swing around and stuff. Have fun. I see some kids playing basketball still though, but yeah, working on the garden. Maybe.
Yeah, it's actually
stuff like that.
I used a lawnmower. It wasn't an electric lawnmower or a powered lawnmower. It was just a manual lawnmower today. Our yard isn't as big as what we used to have, but it was still a bitch because it's you're going uphill and downhill, and it's got the little manual blades, and it makes the noise that the jardinero used to make when I was a kid. That's
the old school stuff.
Yeah, very old school, but it's a nice little way to get some exercise. And that's another thing that I can work on over these next few weeks is to maybe lose some of my spare tire that I have. But it's good to have you on, Chiquis. I'm glad that you and your family are doing well and safe, and hopefully you'll maintain that over the next few
Thank you.
weeks.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Joining us from California, where I do believe he has been sheltered in place for at least a week. Joel Aceves, Papa Joel, joins us from Orange County. Joel, have you been locked away down in Orange County?
No, sir.
You guys have not been locked.
No,
So it was
sir.
just Los Angeles that was locked away.
No. I mean, restaurants and bars are closed, but I continue to work. So I'm still doing my rounds.
Yeah. Are you are you washing yourself down every time you come back?
Yeah, I have to, man. I get hosed down. I don't know if you remember First Blood.
Oh yeah.
When the kid Rambo and they throw him in jail.
Right.
He gets the hose, pretty much.
Yeah.
Something similar.
Yeah, you have to take your clothes off immediately and
burn it. And
just take an immediate shower.
Do that in the front yard, man? While you're feeding the chickens?
Feeding the chickens, a little gente fight reference there.
Yeah.
No, I have like the clothes I take to work, so as soon as I get in, I take it off, and then I shower.
Entonces entras a la casa encuerado, entonces.
En pelotas.
You either give your wife a scare or not, I guess.
Yeah, no, yeah, luckily in my job no one has been.
Well, hopefully that'll maintain.
No one's gotten sick.
Yeah, but that's I hope that you have gobs and gobs and gobs of disinfectant and soap and water, and you're washing your hands 20 times a day, and it's just
yeah, they did provide us with a lot of hand sanitizer, and some of the, because there was a bit of some of the people went kind of crazy, with the hoarding stuff.
Sure.
And so I don't know which one of the staff, but they stole the hand sanitizer. We had like the giant tub,
Mm-hmm.
the giant one, like the communal. It just disappeared. Toilet paper started disappearing because they would have them stocked with at least four toilet papers. So now they just keep one.
So they're in Orange County.
Just one.
Only the bars and restaurants are closed, but I'm sure they still have like the drive-through option or the
Yeah, you could
takeout.
pick up, take out or drive through. Yeah,
I can't
and the
speak
supermarkets are open.
Sure, I can't speak for anybody, but I mean, I can't imagine. Since I've been home since the 12th of March, and I haven't. We've been eating here at the house, and we'll continue to do so until at least April. Probably longer than that, but it's for the next month or so we are that we have no reason to have someone else touch our food. So that is our goal here at Casa Azul here in Lago Vista. Well, good to have you on, Joel. Also joining us from California is Jaime Landeros up in Northern California. Now, are you guys under a complete lockdown up there in Northern California, or is that just San Francisco?
Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. We were like one of the first counties to like really take this serious, and the only essential businesses are open, like grocery stores. But yeah, right now mostly
stores,
everyone's staying indoors.
Shops,
yeah.
dispensaries.
Although not to say that there's not illegal activity going on in people's homes. Today was the first day I felt like, man, this must have been what the Prohibition era must have felt like, because I got my haircut out of someone's garage. They closed down the barber shop, so I had to say the code word, go into a garage, unmarked location, get a haircut, pay in cash. Right. And I'm like, I wonder if this is how the Prohibition era was with the speakeasies and stuff.
And how important was it to you to get that haircut?
You got to keep your mind sharp. I'm inside the house all day, so I still dress up like I'm going to work. And I was getting a little bit too raggedy with the hair, and I feel fresh now, fresh to death.
Well, gotta have that I mean, if you don't have the not so fresh feeling, I mean, can you really perform well in your job? That's a question that
Even if you're at
asks.
home. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have been putting your spices in alphabetical order. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My spices are already in alphabetical order. So.
How many spices do you have? Do you have more than 5?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Dude, we're almost 50 years old, man.
The reason why I ask is because someone on Twitter put like, today I put my spices in alphabetical order, and the dude had 5 spices, and of course he was white, and then everybody just started laughing at him, making fun of him. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Now, Jaime, this particular postponement affected you, at least here in Tacante, because you were heading down to. You were going to be would it be at this time? You would be in Guadalajara, covering the Olympic tournament that was postponed, and of course we found out today that the Tokyo 2020 Olympics were postponed till next year altogether. And as far as the soccer tournament of kids who were going to be U20s, it's essentially going to become a U24 tournament next year. So the ones that were eligible to participate this summer in Tokyo will also participate. And I'm not sure why it took the Olympic Committee so long to make this decision, but they started getting pressure from the national Olympic committees, particularly the German and the American Olympic committees, who yesterday had made their feelings known that they would prefer that they postpone the event. So I think that when the two countries that have are the ones that harvest the most medals say that they're not going to go, and frankly it was a good decision, because I mean, imagine, as an Olympian, and regardless of whether you're going to be a medal favorite or not, I mean, you are spending this time training and trying to get to that point where you're going to compete, and no one can do that with any kind of regularity or normalcy right now. So it only made sense to do that, and I think had they not postponed, I think it would have been very difficult to have any participation. At least not full participation. So I think a good decision for that. But Jaime, you were on your way down to Guadalajara to cover the Olympic tournament, and were you able to? I know that you were having issues with Volaris. Did you ever get all that straightened out?
It was a matter of just delaying the flights at this point, because they're not going to give me my money back. Right. But
so you have like store credit.
It was a roller coaster of like the last 2 weeks, from like getting accreditations to booking the flights to like within a week, everything just starting to go south. It's like, man, how life changes so quickly. But I'm just glad that we'll have this opportunity to do it next year, which is fine. And it's not worth losing your
exactly. And travel right now is so sketchy. My sister and her husband and daughter were in Puerto Vallarta not last week but the week before, so they were able to get back before all the real craziness happened, like a day before. Like they had all the pictures of what was going on at the airports and stuff. So I'm glad that they're back and safe.
I was last week in airport.
And frankly, being anyone in Mexico right now with Presidente no pasa nada, I can't even imagine having to deal with that situation. And I mean, even Liga MX alone, in the last week that they did have competitive games, they went from, okay, we're going to play them, and then they played one with crowd, and then they went, no, we're going to not have crowd, but then we're going to try and squeeze in another jornada before the before the FIFA break, which of course the friendlies were canceled as we thought they would be, even further back from that. And
correction, John. He said that the Mexicans are resistant, or in other words, the macho is in full effect in the Mexican bloodlines.
Mexicans don't get sick, bro. We have that. We have the Mexican remedies. The Vicks, the 7-Up.
They don't get sick.
We don't get sick, man.
Neither of those are Mexican.
Tell that to the Aztecs.
But did we get the
Zapotecs, the Tarascos, the Mayans? Just go down the list.
I actually got a question. Did we get the TV ratings in for that weekend where they did play the games? because they
Great question, man. I would have loved to see that too.
Yeah, because Chivas, like, their game was exclusive to Chivas TV, but then they said, you know what, it's going to be on everything. So I'm very curious to see how the ratings were.
I may own Chiquis. I felt ripped off.
Yeah.
I gave my tips to Chivas TV, and then it's free, and it's like, wait a minute, I should be compensated somehow. Send me some Chivas Cola or something.
So you paid your $7 so that you could watch
for the month.
To watch a game that was not exclusive. I better get some off the field Norma Pelafox, content in exchange for my contribution.
That was like the main game to see because
it was Rayados.
No, Joel. So say that it was Chivas, I'm sure they're listening to this podcast as they always do, and you're given the option to have a social distancing lunch with Nestor de la Torre, or a private concert with Chente. Which one would you take?
Oh man, that's
not even that's a no-brainer for me, man.
It's for you, but I would go with just because I'm the bigger football fan. I would go with my boy Nestor.
Ouch.
No, I mean, his family's been with the club 80 plus years. I mean, I would love to pick his brain and find a lot of stuff. And Chente
doesn't have too much years to live, bro. I would much rather
too, exactly, because
I would go with Chente, bro.
Everybody would, but come on, I gotta.
No. Here's who do you think?
I just have to know.
If between it would be like a drinking / smoking contest between Chente and Willie Nelson.
Probably Willie, because Chente maintained his strong vocals, and
are you saying
still going, man.
That Willie didn't?
I haven't heard him sing, so I don't really know. I don't really know, because we had what was this guy, El Príncipe? What's he called? He ended up messing up his vocals.
Camilo?
No.
Oh, Jose.
There you go, him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty sad to see how bad he ended up sounding.
Was he like a notorious chain smoker or something, or?
I don't know, but he was doing all type of stuff, and it ended up affecting him. You wouldn't think that was.
So Liga MX does this thing where we're going to play all the games, and then as we set out their timeline, and of course then it ended up with Cruz Azul beating America in the last game, which would have been obviously the culmination of a great weekend of games, and it ended up not being, in fact, very anticlimactic, and frankly I almost felt guilty watching those games, because they frankly shouldn't have been on TV, and I think that is where we see a bit of a disconnect between what's best for the public and the players compared to what's best for the league, when the league is managed by the ones, and I'm not just talking about Televisa, the ones that broadcast. It's Televisa, it's Azteca, it's Imagen, it's Claro, it's a handful of them. So it didn't surprise me at all that happened, and frankly the fact that they were trying to squeeze in another jornada, I thought was just so typical of how Liga MX operates, and it just a huge PR, one PR disaster after another. And then we come to find out last week that Enrique Bonilla has tested positive for the virus. He was actually in Spain. And again, I question someone saying, why on earth would anybody go to Spain? Or
hey man, tickets are cheap right now. Tickets are cheap.
You're not kidding. I got an email from Southwest Airlines saying, hey, flights right now are $39, which then then you have to ask yourself, if this is as low as they're willing to go to sell tickets, how much do they really make on those tickets? So anyway, so he was in Spain. And then he comes back to Toluca and he says, "Well, I had a really severe sore throat, and then I had a fever, so I went and got checked out, and of course he tested positive." But imagine, from the time that he leaves Spain and goes back to Mexico, where he's obviously a carrier, and he, think of all the places that he touched without knowing that he was a carrier, and all the hands that he
He
shook.
probably had like a bag of hot Cheetos and a couple of presidents like
Yeah,
dug into it, and that's
exactly. So
Allá
Oh,
comen
man.
sabritas, güey. Sabritas. Sabritas con limón y
true.
Sabritas
chile.
adobadas. Yeah, I mean, just think of all the.
shit.
And,
That's
and again,
super fuego.
I'm not criticizing the guy, but I mean, it's like that's why this virus to me is so scary. Aside from the fact that it doesn't have a cure and frankly the deaths are horrific. That it can spread so easily and so nonchalantly, which is why every time I see people on TV, young, not just young people, but even old people. I mean, I know some older folks that don't take it seriously either, and it's like how on earth can you not take this seriously? I mean, it boggles the mind.
You know what they should do just to keep us entertained, because it's been rough not having sports? They should just take those players and have them play the games via FIFA. Like straight up 11 on 11, like clubs, like how we do it, how us non-professionals do it. Like we go online, we get our PS4s, and we only control one player, and you have a group of 11 people. They should just do that, What do they got to lose?
Some of those guys play, but
Yeah, it'd be
what
kind of
about
cool.
the ones that don't?
Yeah, with that, I frankly, I think
It'd be
the
entertaining.
last time I watched somebody else play video games, I think I was 10, and I was watching somebody at an arcade. So that's
and this is
to me
before
just-
the
there's
internet.
I mean, it could be a generational thing, but I have no interest.
Hey
in
man,
watching
the
that.
future is now.
Oh, yeah, it's a sport. It's like sports.
It's
I watch video
esports.
games, and it's like a sport.
No, I understand.
It's
that.
legit
Yeah.
like
But
a
to me, it's like, I mean, it was just a generation thing. It's like if I ain't playing, I ain't watching. So, but that
That's true. I'm right
You
there
say the
with
same-
Yon.
say the same with
If I'm
soccer.
not playing, I'm not watching.
I mean, we're not professional soccer players, but we
Yeah, you
watch it.
You watch basketball. It's the same thing, pretty much.
Oh,
because the
chicken,
level-
chicken.
It's a
No,
little
good,
different,
same
but,
thing.
yeah.
Because look, the level of the only reason why you watch sports, why you watch soccer, is because the level of talent is at the top.
right.
You could never do, you can never aspire to. When you play a video game, when you play FIFA, it's not you're not watching some random dude who doesn't know the controls and all this stuff. You're watching people who do amazing
No,
stuff.
and again, I
yeah.
appreciate that, but to me, it's like
Ah, te mamaste.
I don't.
Chiquis, come on, man.
It's not.
Come on,
something-
dude.
It's not something I wanna do. It just doesn't interest me at all.
But hey,
You watch a pro
Oh,
game.
wait, chicken.
John, we don't even
Gentlemen.
we have nothing to watch right now. So
Wait, gentlemen, let me just
Dude, there
let me
are
just
gobs of old games that you can watch on YouTube. Great,
wait.
fantastic.
No, but I want to watch professional players that we usually watch on TV play FIFA. I think that'd be cool.
Wait, I want to respond to something Chiqui said where he's talking about the talent, but it's like, all right, I could see someone playing Call of Duty and they do a quick scope. And I'm more likely to do that quick scope than to replicate like a Messi or a CR7 goal. There's a difference, Chiquis. I'm going to say, as awesome as what some of these dudes do on the video games, eventually if you play long enough, you're gonna be able to do it. Because it's a program, it's a setup.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Call of Duty. Okay, and people hate this game that I'm about to mention, and I've talked about it before, but
Fortnite.
Don't say it.
Fortnite is
Don't
not,
say-
it's not just shooting. It's not just shooting, but you have to build around you. You build walls, you build ramps, and the building that these kids do, man,
Oh, it's
the quickness and it's just crazy, dude. This is like something you can't practice and do it.
yeah.
It's a unique individual that has a special talent to be able to do
And,
this.
and that's
It's
good.
just as-
Congratulations to them. I have no interest in watching.
Is just as rare as like what Messi does on the pitch. I'm serious, man. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I swear, bro. It's
Amazing.
It's pretty crazy. Like I'm kind of in between because like I grew up in the 90s, and I kind of remember like life before the internet. But now it's like there's people that were born into this like esports thing, and that's what they aspire to do, man. Like instead of growing up.
I mean, I work when I do work up in Las Colinas and Irving, and there's an esports stadium 20 minutes away, and there are people that used to work where I work that now work at the esports stadium and are happy as clams with it. And again, I think it's great. I mean,
play
it's
by
just,
play.
and I don't fault them, and I'm not gonna sit here and ridicule. It's just something that it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not for me.
There's many sports.
Huh?
There's many sports out there that I'm not going to watch. It's sports at its high level, and I'm not interested in watching that particular sport. So it's just like preferences by each person.
Yeah, I mean, my nephew is very much into that, and I've been trying my hardest to get him to like go into like actually try to make a living doing that. But he had to.
Sorry, man. I just want to see Gudiño try and stop a penalty using a PS4 controller.
You know what? you guys remind me of that South Park episode.
Any other way?
Exactly.
Wait, do you guys remember the South Park episode where they're playing Guitar Hero? And where it's like you telling me it's the same playing Guitar Hero
and playing the real guitar?
Playing the real guitar, man. Come on.
It's not the same,
now,
but
gents.
It does require.
It's still a game that's scripted. It's still scripted, and it's still a limitation set between the programming.
All I know is, I just would like to see. I would like to see that. It'd be pretty entertaining for me.
Actually, Jaime, if you remember, I think it might have been like years ago, 4 or 5. When I think it was Memo Ochoa posted on Twitter, Instagram, a video of him and like the whole national team playing. And they're just sitting around playing.
It's funny you mentioned that, Chiquis, because just this past weekend,
announcing it.
Or maybe it was not this weekend, but the weekend before. They're all running together at this point. There's only been 2 of them. Dynamo were supposed to play. Houston Dynamo were supposed to play Colorado Rapids. It was last weekend because the one before was Seattle, and instead of showing, obviously they didn't have a game to show. They actually had one guy from Dynamo play Houston Dynamo, and then he played one guy from Colorado Rapids. They had a best of 3, and they put it online. And they had I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were, but obviously people tuned in and watched. So it's not like that's not out of the realm of possibility. But I mean, call me crazy. As a soccer fan, I would much rather watch Italy, West Germany, 1970, than a bunch of schmoes playing on a computer console. But that's just me.
It was entertaining. It was entertaining to watch Memo and all those guys play, and just like the banter that they had amongst each other. And then Moises Munoz was doing like the commentary, and that dude is legit. And I think he's even done commentary in the recent Liga MX games, right?
He does. He does.
He's on the
and he does English and Spanish, since he speaks both. And even in the when they had that Oro documentary, when Mexico won the Olympic gold medal in London 2012, in the Fabian and Gio, the whole documentary practically are playing video games against each other. So and again, I understand, and it's, but just a personal taste. If I'm desperate for, I'm not one though. I watch old NFL film stuff till my eyes bleed, just because I love it so much, and it to me is, everything about what I love about what I do, and when it comes to sport documentary, when it comes to the editing and the pacing and the images and the music and the writing and the narration, everything just comes together so beautifully that I could watch that stuff 24/7 practically, and I've watched. I can't tell you how many times I've seen certain, just over and over and over again. But again, that's just me. That's what I'm into.
Let me ask you guys this: since the Olympics are getting canceled, the Euro, the Copa America, assuming like this goes on for a couple more months, with the leagues that are still going on, would it be fair to just crown the team in first place champions? How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think that they're probably gonna. I'm sure that most of the leagues have like a drop dead date, because of the fact that they don't have the Euro. That has bought the league. That has bought every league in this on this planet about 6 weeks to maybe 2 months of time that they otherwise wouldn't have had. Because obviously you wanted to be over by May, right? Whenever that was, and then the Euro started in June, so that went on for a month. And then then they have the dead period after that, so they wouldn't get going again until maybe late July, early August, and then the leagues would start up again. So based on that, I think that if leagues can get going up again and they can do something, something, and I'm not sure that they'll be able to finish out because they don't have that kind of time. But if they can start playing again by June, then I do think that they'll try and finish they'll try and finish stuff out. But if June comes and goes, and then I think that what they'll do is they'll either just cancel the season. I don't know if they'll name champions or not. But I mean
what I'm asking you guys is, are we gonna have another Pro de 85? Are we gonna have America? No, not. Well, this time it'd be Cruz Azul, technically.
The Pro de was a tournament. I mean, it wasn't a very big tournament, but it was a tournament, and there was a format, and it was followed, and it ended, and there was one champion.
Do you know how many games it was? Was it more than 10?
It doesn't matter. It was a tournament, and everyone agreed to it, and it was played out. And I mean,
yeah, but it was a cup tournament, not a league tournament. Like league means you play every game, every team in the league.
But everyone agreed to it, and everyone agreed to the rules, and they followed along, and that was that.
Yeah, but they didn't agree that the winner was league champion. You were just gonna be tournament, but that's why it's called the tournament. It's called Torneo Pro. It's not called Liga Pro. It's called Torneo. So it's a mini tournament that later America said. Well, they didn't.
Now, let me ask you this, Joel. Would you feel this passionately about it if Chivas had won it instead of America?
Yes, I would. I would feel that they were cheating.
But
I felt the same way when it is, because they later said, well, you know what, this counts as league.
Yeah.
Because they wanted that tetra or tetra campeonato, I think it was, but they were trying to get their Campeonísimo era going, and they're like, well, we already won this, let's just add it here. But you could find old interviews and old, clips of where the president of the time was saying, this is not a league title, which is why the cup that was handed to them is not the league cup. It was a special cup made just for that tournament. After that, they went back to using the regular. It looked like a standy cup.
Is it really worth having one debate after another over it?
I think it is.
It is.
I think it is, man, because I think it's happening right now, right? America.
It's worth making fun of the Americanistas about it.
No, it's not making fun, but it's like if you could do that, then you might as well. Yeah, I know they don't care, but it's still like you still like it. To me, it takes away from the league. That's why the league, the Mex League, is not rated much higher because of things like this that you always see happening. So I think it's the league shooting itself in the foot with these like mini tournaments and other stuff that they allow to happen, like fake relegation, like, oh, you're relegated, but just pay this much and you can still stay. Or you got relegated, but you bought this franchise, and then there's like two teams called the same. So I think that ultimately it takes from the validity of like what makes the championship stronger or that much more prestigious. I'm not denying that, but you take away from the prestige.
What was the reason, Joel, for the Pro Day? What happened to cause the Pro Day?
Well, what happened was the World Cup. So they were going to suspend the league.
And what else?
Well, they called the seleccionados.
And what else?
Were you talking about the earthquake?
Yes.
Well, yeah, but see, the Pro Day also, we have to mention Pro Day, the name. So
but there was another torneo right after the Pro Day.
Yeah.
The Monterrey one. How come no one ever gives Monterrey any lip for winning that?
Because it was more games.
Oh.
It was more games.
Wait, did Monterrey also get a league title?
Yeah, and Cruz Azul.
What the hell? Wait, back up.
So
Chivas, they're not competing with Chivas with the title.
It's called Mexico 86, and then Cruz Azul, Mexico 70.
Right.
So those three have a mini tournament they count it as
what a
league.
circus show. We should just strip everyone
Well,
from
hang
titles.
on,
and
telling
hang
you.
on. The Mexico 7
Telling
was
you.
actually the first league that actually had a liguilla.
Liguilla.
So it was the very first liguilla.
Yeah, but see, and the thing about Mexico 70 was that one they all agreed on it, that being the league title. So the for pro that they didn't agree on it being a league. It was more of a cup tournament where people weren't even going to the stadiums. They weren't taking it serious.
Kinda
And
like
then
Copa
they
MX.
talked about, we're going to use this for youth. So play your youth, which ended up becoming like the cup, the Mexico Cup, the Copa MX,
Copa
what it's called
MX.
now. But if you go back, a few years, like to the 90s, a few years, like 20 years.
Try 30 years, Joel. We're
That
getting
cup
old.
was I know you. I have to catch
Damn,
myself.
a few
But
years,
you,
bro.
yeah, no, we'll go back to the 90s when there was, before they suspended the cup, and you got no coverage, and the teams would just use the juveniles. So since around that time, that cup started losing some of that swag, because if you go further back, 60s, probably 70s, those cups are still being taken serious. The whole Copa Campeones,
Right.
the League Cup,
I've
and
been
then all
watching.
of a sudden,
Yeah,
it just, they swept it under the rug, and they're like, you know what? Let's just put all our money on the league and with the liguilla, and then everything else is like whatever. It don't count. And so then we went a lot of years with a lot of those cups where it's like almost no coverage, and teams would win like the cup, and nobody knew. Nobody would be like, they wouldn't even be televised for the most part.
Well, I do think let's fast forward a little bit to this year. Now, are we gonna? The question is, do we crown Cruz Azul champion, or do we spare them the ignominy of being the team that was going to probably end up, top of the league, and then lose to the 8th seed in the league? So are we sparing Cruz Azul the embarrassment, or are we going to crown them champions?
No, I think if there's a way to finish, I would at least do it without league.
What I would do.
Go ahead.
What I would do, and I know that they've talked about certain scenarios, is that if they've somehow managed to, and frankly, I don't see how it's going to happen, because I think that what's happening in this country is going to happen much worse in Mexico over the next month to 2 months. But anyway, if they are able to come back, if the Sangre Azteca isn't as strong as people say, or if it is as strong as people say, rather, then what I would do is, that there's 18 teams, I would just do 3 groups of 6 and have, todos contra todos play 5 games, and then the top 3, and then the best second place team go and play go and play mini liguilla, and whoever wins that, then that, and then and you call it whatever you want, but that's how I would do it.
I would just take, because there's 18 teams they've had 10 fixtures, so they've played at least more than half of the games. I would just say, hey, top 8 teams, let's just do liguilla. Like, screw it. Like, the rest of the league's just like done.
Yeah, but you remember that they want to sell tickets, and they want to get their TV ad sales back. There's if you do it this way, then you're only sacrificing 2 games, and then you can still have someone, and then you can, I mean, believe me, you can squeeze 5 games. You can squeeze 5 games in 2 weeks very easily.
There is talk that there is a testing kit that's now going to be made available soon, where it only takes 15 minutes.
Well, there's a company here in Austin,
so
I can't remember what the name of it, that can mail out testing kits, and you can get it in the mail and send it back. Yeah, so I mean, why this? Anyway, but please continue.
Well, no, I mean, if that's available, I would just use that to finish the season. I mean, test all the players, and you could do it in closed doors.
Yeah, but that's Liga MX. They don't want to do it at Puerta Cerrada. You have to remember.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to remember that some of
They
these
don't get
owners,
much from the gate, anyways. You
yeah,
know,
but
it's
some of these
not.
owners they get. The
Yeah,
gate is a
you're
big
right. The
chunk of their
smaller
budget.
one.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of their budget. Now again, this is just all hypothetical, of course, because the reality is that probably nothing's going to happen, and they're going to try and come back, maybe by July or August, and have some semblance of what the next apertura might be like, because since with everything being postponed, the Euro is going to be next year, the Copa America is going to be next year, and thank God Copa Oro is not affected. It'll be in 2021 as well.
Oh man.
And,
Well, John, that you raised an interesting question. What will happen to the next Liga MX tournament? Should they just do it by points and cut out Liguilla, or how are they gonna like fit it in so that it doesn't start piling up into the next season?
they'll probably have to cut it short, man.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that when like I said, I mean they're going to have a very small window to try and squeeze these in. I know that MLS is looking at May as possibly coming back. I think that's very optimistic. I don't think that games in MLS will come back.
There's
until
no
July.
way.
I think they won't be until July.
Yeah, there's no way they come back in May already. Yeah,
because they have to have at least a month of just getting ready. And
how about this? Why don't we just give Cruz Azul like a half of a star, just like a little. Give them like a mini title, little like the miniature size of the trophy. Give them that and be like, this is worth like half a star, bro.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you guys are as good as you say you are,
even if they cancel
then...
the season, I mean, are Cruz Azul fans really going to be, because I mean, still you have to go through the league. I mean, it's not like Liverpool that only needed 3 points out of their next 24.
Yeah,
exactly.
To win the title, where that to me is much more of a. And then of course,
that was good.
Never won now, Liverpool have won a bunch of league titles, but they've never won a Premier League title, and the Premier League's been playing since 1992. Just goes to show you how people may not. I know a lot of youngsters listen to the podcast and don't think that soccer was played from before 2010, and I get that. But when I was growing up, Liverpool were the kings. They were everything. They dominated Europe. They dominated England. I mean, when Liverpool didn't win the league title, it was news. I mean, they were that dominant. And there's a reason why when they're playing in the Champions League and they have that little trophy with a little number on there, they've won a bunch of Champions Leagues. So, but it just goes to show you just how far they've fallen. That since the early '90s, they have.
The patch on the sleeve, John.
Yeah,
you're talking the little trophy is a patch on the sleeve.
Right.
Of a trophy. I really like that. I think CONCACAF should do something similar where they get a little patch.
I agree.
No, it's cool. It's cool, and it's pretty cool. And then it helps jerseys because, like, if you want to buy the jersey with that one patch.
No, it's a cool. I mean, right now
people love that stuff.
France's national team shirt has the big old gold seal that says, "Hey, we're the current World Cup champions."
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
they get to flex it for 4 years.
Yeah. Which
is that for Champions League? There's one like that too, or is it just how many championships you won, or is it
for Champions League, like you said, they have the little arm patch that has the champion the with the number, and then the France has the big gold seal that they have on their front of their jersey saying that they're the current World Cup champions. And
man, achievement unlocked. That's cool, man.
So yeah.
Do they have a gold Liga MX patch for the league champions?
They don't, but they should. And and Italy has the Scudetto, which I think is really like the current or last year's champions don't have their like you won't see their escudo. They'll have the little Italian flag Scudetto as their their crest.
Oh, that's what it means.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what that means. I just thought they were getting fancy with that flag.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. I was watching the Maradona documentary because I remember Milan had it, and then I saw when they talked about Napoli had it, and they had Maradona. I was like, oh, that's what the Scudetto means. So they get to put it on their shirt.
I remember seeing it for one of the teams, and I'm thinking, yeah, they must want everyone to know it's an Italian team, even though it's pretty obvious, but power to them. And Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I do think Liga MX could do these little things just to add more salsa to
Yeah.
the
Now
tacos.
there's a couple other
Uh,
things that are gonna get get involved here, and we have some folks that are commenting on our chat. Rick says that he's doubtful MLS will come back unless they go full closed door fixtures for everyone. Probably right there, and it can't be all over the country because of air travel restrictions, which is true. And then Luis says, "Eight more jornadas plus liguilla, and then the apertura is supposed to start in July. That means that if we can stay quarantined until mid-April, then apertura has to be pushed back at the earliest." Which again, to me, is the reality is, and I think that this goes for not just for soccer, but for basketball and baseball. I think that the sports fans need to just come to grips with the fact that they're probably not going to be. Let's just put it this way: if there are sports at any point in this year, it's going to be a miracle. I just don't see. I mean, I'm talking football,
oh dang!
college. It's just the reality of what we're living in right now.
So esports.
Esports, baby.
So
Oh man,
that's just the reality of what
Turn
we're
in your pigskin and your cleats and your helmets and turn them in for microphones, headsets, and keyboards, mouse, consoles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We're starting a new wave.
That's just where we are now. The other thing that we have to take into consideration is that World Cup qualifying was slated to start this summer. So
I completely forgot about that, John.
You can't have that many fechas dobles when you have World Cup qualifying that's slated to start as well. So they have that is going to be something that you'll have to consider as well. Now the one saving grace that we had for this World Cup that we haven't had in the past is that this World Cup is already been pushed back and it's not being played until November, December of 2022.
You beat me to John.
It's like they knew.
It's like they knew it was a hot weather. It cooperated.
Why don't they just create like a safe space in the middle of nowhere, like Greenland or Antarctica, and they just put all the athletes that are clean there, and then they'll just televise all the games.
Why don't we try and get the world healthy first, and then we can decide how we play our players. But I mean, and this is somebody you have to understand. This is somebody who makes a living on covering professional sports leagues. So this affects me directly. More. You're
not ready for a World Cup behind closed doors, John.
Well, I mean, aside from I'm just talking about just right now these next few months. I mean, I have. I mean, my work ended on March 11th, when the VP one of the VPs for the Thunder went running onto the court to stop the game between the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is a very surreal moment. Aside from the fact that it had happened, but the fact that was the game that I'd done a pregame for. It was just a very strange moment. Yeah. So from that moment on, the world changed for better or for worse. I mean, I think in this case for better, because it finally opened people's eyes to what was coming. At least in this country, and I think people realize, it's the severity of the situation and what we're up against. So, it's funny. I had a conversation with Martín del Palacio and Luis Herrera on their podcast, Desde el Bar, that they do right now. They're quarantined in Spain, and the amount of death in Spain is going to rival Italy, and unfortunately, we're going to be looking at those numbers here in the U.S. over the next couple of weeks. This thing is going to get a lot worse before it gets better, which is why if you don't have, I know, Joel, that we asked you at the beginning, and it's just so important. If you don't have to go out, don't. But if you do have to go out, man, you take every precaution you can. I mean, wipe your car down everything you touch. You just have to be extra diligent rather, and it is so important. And the conversation I had with them is, I wanted to say, I mentioned to them, I thought that Rudy Gobert, who was the player for the Utah Jazz that ended up testing positive, he's gonna kind of sort of end up being a hero out of this, but really the real hero was the gentleman for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who the one who ran onto the court, and so I can find that gentleman's name here. Donnie Strack. Donnie Strack is the gentleman's name. He was the one that ran onto the court to alert the referees, hey, we shouldn't be playing this game. And, it turned out that there was another player that tested positive. So think of all the people that shook hands with that player that night, and all the people that, that he was around, that the scorer's table that he touched, or a chair that he touched, the spot of the floor where he was stretching, all that stuff. I mean, it's and then this is in an arena full of 16,000 people. So yeah, do I think sports are going to happen the rest of this year? The answer is no. I do not think they are. I think that it's very optimistic to think that they are, but I just don't see how it can happen.
I think everyone's tripping if they think it's going to happen in May.
My question would be like the impact. Okay, so you got to measure. Like Jaime and I were talking a little bit about the measure and finding middle ground. So like the impact on people losing work, and the minimal type of event that you could have. So like say you had a closed stadium event where of course no fans would go. So the impact you're looking at are the workers and the people required to be present and to work, like the cameras and maybe call in the event or whatever. Like how many people are there? Is it less than 10? Like suggestions are out there. And so to me it seems like it's not going to be possible. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Dana White in the UFC. He came out pretty hard-headed at first as far as the whole virus thing.
No, he didn't care.
And then he said he pretty much just said he didn't care. I forget what the phrase is, but right now he sort of does. But he's looking to keep on holding this one event. I think next month in a close. Now UFC is a little bit different.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's too different. You don't have too many cameras, a ref, and like two guys in the ring. So like my question, you know more than I do, would you risk doing a closed event than a soccer game or like even a soccer game?
It's it's
to
pay
I guess it really some
depends
money.
on how greedy people are. How greedy people are willing.
Not greedy.
No, I mean, if
but
it's
like
a
the worker,
boxing
like
fight,
you're a worker. You're a worker, John. You work. Like there's many guys that like the camera, the stadium crew.
No, I get that, but again,
need work.
It all depends on how greedy people are willing to be. That's what it's going to boil down to.
Like getting a paycheck, I don't see as greedy if you don't have a paycheck.
Yeah, but but it's not up to me. It's not up to me, Chiquis. It's up to people. How much pain are they willing to accept during all this? Is really what it boils down to. How much pain are they willing to accept? If they're not willing to accept, if they're willing to accept
a lot of pain,
then
an empty stadium is a lot of pain.
Yeah, it is. The empty, but playing, you'll ask any player that they would much rather play in a full stadium than an empty stadium.
But I'm looking at the workers. It's like saying, okay, the gas station is closing. The gas station attendant who needed that money for his rent. So the guy working a stadium, like security or whatever, or like
you're believe me,
doing the camera.
I understand where you're coming from, and yeah, it's going to be hard. But you know what? I'd rather have 3 months of not having work.
Maybe the execs, like the long pants dudes, like in the UFC, for example, off a pay-per-view. People are going to watch it on pay-per-view. But for Liga MX, maybe they're getting their revenue from the TV services. They can, like when you talk about greed, yeah, they're going to bank that money. Maybe they increase the salary like HEB did. They increased the salary for the workers a little bit. They increased the salary for those guys working an empty stadium to put on, a closed event.
If I was like in sports right now and like involved, especially in Liga MX, I would just work on like bringing a catalog of just archives, like all the great games over the last years, and just sell that to the public or allow people to watch them. Because that's what everyone's doing right now that love sports. They're just watching old reruns of like their favorite games.
Just this past weekend on CBS, how many outstanding basketball tournament games did they show?
But they need to do that for Liga MX, because Liga MX has just done a terrible job of like.
Of course they do.
And it's just like right now is the time to capitalize and at least give people something to do.
Well, to answer your question, I would rather just chill for 3 months, and the only way that this thing, the virus doesn't spread on its own. The virus is spread by people, and the only way that you can control that is to not have as many people around. Period. Whether it's in a full arena or an empty arena. The less people are around, the less the chance the virus has to spread. And that, to me,
and we're talking
above all else, is the most important thing. Period. End of story. Again, that's just me.
Okay, yeah, I agree above all else. Like dying to, as opposed to dying to not having food on the table, or to, depression, suicide, things like that.
That's where your government should step in.
Either way, death is the end point.
Well, I get that.
So that's sort of what I'm looking at.
How many deaths are you willing to sacrifice so that you can watch a soccer game? How many people are you willing to sacrifice so you can watch a soccer game?
And the soccer game, the soccer game.
How many abuelitas have to die?
We're trying to lessen the curve a little bit. Eventually, everyone's going to get this virus. And of all this is to not have everyone get it immediately, to where the medical staff and equipment is not sufficient. So eventually, over time, yes, the numbers are going to increase, and that's an inevitability.
But the scary one is not
because everyone eventually is going to come in contact with this virus.
The second wave is the scary wave, and that one's coming this winter.
Point is just some type of middle ground, some way where people are, yes, being precautious to the most they can, but also looking towards not totally.
Well, you got to have some
bankruptcy.
hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not totally going into bankruptcy and not having any. Like, you can't even go buy groceries because you don't have money to buy groceries.
No, again, I understand that, but I mean, that is not. I mean, if that happens, and believe me, it's. I totally understand that it's happening not just in this country, but all over the world. But there are governments that they actually help. They have this crazy notion of actually helping their constituents out in a time like this. England is paying 80% of people's salaries for the next 3 months, up to a certain cap, as is Holland, as is Denmark. You can just go down the list in Europe. So people aren't left with this tab. I know that people are desperate and worried. Oh my God, we're gonna go into a depression. It's just not gonna. How can we have a depression when the Dow Jones is still at 20,000 points? When the Dow Jones gets down to 5,000 points, then maybe we can talk about a depression.
There's two sides to all of it.
You know what's crazy? I started watching, and I recommend this show to anyone who's a fan of football. I just started watching it today. It's like the English game on Netflix, and they were like talking about like the FA Cup because it's like the oldest tournament. And this team of they're mill workers. They don't have money, but they're all working class. Like, they were supposed to play this team, and they ended in a tie, and they didn't have enough money to play the second leg, the replay. But the town was just so crazy ecstatic about this team, how far they got, that they were all willing to pitch in and like pay for their trip to go back to London and like finish off this game. And I don't know, I guess like if anyone right now is just like looking for something soccer related to watch on Netflix, I would highly recommend this series.
Yeah, that's a good
called.
I saw the teaser for it last night. If you have Amazon, you can watch all of the official World Cup movies. Just Google FIFA. Or do search FIFA when you're on Amazon Prime, and you'll get. I think they start in 1954, so they go from 54 all the way to 2018.
Damn.
Yeah, and some of them are really good. Some of them are like the 66 one. I think the 70 one is outstanding. It's really, really entertaining. It's kind of goofy because they have like this little kid who's, it's just but they show almost all the games. The Argentina one is very thorough, which is very unfortunate for Mexico fans, because they got 12 goals scored on them, and I think they show all 12.
Oh, of course.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but they're all very entertaining, and there's some that are better than others. So I do think that there's that to watch. We put a list up, at least I did, on the Cantina of just some classic games.
Yeah, you had some really good stuff there, man.
On YouTube, I mean, just some really historic games that you can watch. And so You know, I agree with the Chica said it is a delicate balance. To me, right now, the most important thing is to keep as many people healthy. If people right now think that they can go out and do stuff, and then it makes things, just exponentially worse, then we'll see a true economic collapse. Period. But I think that once this thing, if people can hang in there and settle down and as you said, flatten the curve and overcome the worst of it over a period of a couple of months, to where, yes, as you pointed out, everyone probably will be getting it, but maybe, slow down at the rate at which they can, then that is the best way for that to happen. The only way that happens is if we slow it down first now. That's the only way. And if it means, this is someone who is being directly impacted by this. If this means no sports for the rest of the year, then so be it. Because you know what, I'd rather wait for my sports that I can watch next year than not be alive to watch them at all.
I was also telling Jaime that I realized the effect of lacking sports had, or like the huge gap I'm missing with this, because it's pretty much like I have no reason to turn on the TV. I don't really watch Netflix and all that stuff too much. So like, if there's no sports on, it's pretty much okay. What am I doing now? So I've been outside doing all kinds of other stuff or working out or things like that. So it's tough.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's liberating in a way that I don't have to get disappointed by mis Chivas or la selección. But yeah, there's obviously like a gaping hole in my life. Like, man, I'd be watching the game right now with all my boys, and it's just like, well, there's got to be other ways.
I did an ab crunch yesterday for the first time in like 3 years.
A what?
A crunch, a sit up.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Just one, John.
Hey, I did
Just
five.
one.
I did 5. Thank you. No, actually, I did.
Oh, 5.
No, I have a little book that I just did a little workout, and I'm going to continue to do it. And it's, I kick myself for not being healthy enough to do it before.
Positive things come out of this.
I'm doing in between? So I, binge watching. Between every episode, I do 10 push-ups and 10 of those burpees.
Show off.
That's pretty good.
Show off.
Yeah.
I did like a crunch once, but that's reaching for a donut.
That's a
so funny.
It fell to the ground and you didn't want to get up. You
Yeah.
just did a little sit up. Hey, no, but seriously, obviously with sports being put on hold and we're a sports podcast, would you guys be like in favor of giving out cocktail recipes every week, since we are the CantinaMX?
Dude, my drinking. I mean, you could go right ahead, but my drinking days are over. We
can turn this into a cooking channel. Whatever you
know how to make a Cuba Libre, because that's about the extent of my mixology.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Seriously,
I've heard Don
recipes and juice.
What is that? Rum and Coke?
Yeah, maybe with a twist of lemon.
Lime juice, 2 ounces of rum, and Coke. Huh.
The national.
I'm gonna do that, man. Some smoothie videos. I do some juicing. I'll send you some juicing.
No, I mean, you got to share with our listeners. That's the whole point. We have this podcast. We got to every week. We got to have a new recipe.
Sure. No, that sounds like a good idea. Gentlemen, is there anything else pressing? Because I'm gonna have to wrap it up here myself.
Nothing. I just wash your filthy hands, everyone, and make sure to stay at least 6 feet away from people. And I am going to end at least my portion with a cocktail recipe, and it's called a Mexican Mule. So it's just
nice.
ginger beer, and then you put a little bit of tequila in there and lime juice. Mexican Mule.
Sounds good. Thank you, Hyman. Chickies, any recipes you want to share with me before we go away?
Yeah, I guess I'll share the I created a video about VPN security earlier, and since everyone's working from home nowadays, check that out, because I hear a lot of ads about VPNs being like the ultimate defense against hackers when it's not fully true. So
where can we see that video?
I tweeted it out also.
Oh, cool.
There you go. Joel, any words of wisdom before we wrap it up here?
No recipes per se. I just want to thank the people that tune in to listen to us. Much appreciated. And we'll be keeping an eye out or an ear for more Liga MX info. I know that Bonilla said that the Liga MX presidents will be meeting, maybe through Skype, maybe through Discord, but they're going to meet and try to figure out how to resolve this. So we'll be on top of it and try to inform you guys.
Thank you, Chiquis. And the only message I have for everybody is, as Jaime said, just wash your hands. Wash your hands as often as you can, please. Let's try and mitigate this now so that we don't have to deal with it for a longer period of time.
And like Cuauhtemoc said, coman sus frutas y verduras.
Absolutely. Don't eat out if you don't have to. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone for joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast. We appreciate it. And we will hopefully have another one of these in the next couple of weeks for Jaime Landeros, Beto Campa, and Juan Aceves. This is John Jagus saying good evening. Thank you guys very much.